I'm Todd Crawford,
And I'm Eric Zavinsky.
and we are too cool for the comic shop.
Yes, we are. We're back from hiatus, and what better topic to come back with than Sonic the Hedgehog, as our debut episode of this podcast was the original movie. Now we're back for the sequel, Todd.
Yeah, we are. It's weird to think about there already being a second one out. It doesn't seem like that long ago that the first came out, but it also seems like it was a different era because it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, considering that we've gone through the pandemic, this movie actually coming out 2 years after the first is pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, it is, and it was so weird seeing it in theaters after having gone through all that and just all the changes in life between the two movies that it was kind of, I guess you say, comforting, but it was also kind of sad in a way how much can change in just 2 years.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would think for the most part, this movie continues what the first one did, not just like plot wise, but also just the feeling of watching this weird comical version of live action characters mixed with Sonic characters. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was just kind of comforting to see a movie not be affected by the times.
Yeah, and it didn't even mention COVID that I remember. I don't think any characters have masks or anything, or there wasn't any references, which is, of course it's fine if they reference it. That's a big event in world history. They're going to reference that in art, but yeah, the wholesomeness of these movies really gets to me because it's funny because they're so commercial and so corporate, but yet the movies still manage to have a heart with that, and
Right.
it's not trying to push some certain agenda or make someone look evil or whatever. It's literally just to entertain children, and that's really what these kind of movies should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that really struck me more this time around than with the first movie is that there were tons of kids in my theater to see Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I went to see another movie in the same weekend. And then there were, of course, kids like with Sonic toys and stuff like heading into the theater like next door for Sonic 2. And that's kind of an interesting brand resurgence because I don't think small kids have cared about Sonic this much in arguably 20 years, honestly.
Yeah, and they re-released Colors this past year, and they had a trailer for, I think it's called Sonic Origins, another re-release of the first four games. So
Yeah, it's actually
hopefully,
kind of funny that we're recording today because that trailer just came out today when we're recording here.
yeah, it's funny. I watched that over breakfast, and obviously that wasn't planned or anything. I didn't even know that they were doing it until maybe yesterday, or the day before, and then the trailer just
Yeah,
happened
I
to show up
kind
on
of
my
knew that they were
timeline.
doing it, but I didn't know to like what extent they were going to be like. Like if they were just re-releases of the old games, I wasn't going to be super interested. But they're actually doing quite a bit. They're making them all widescreen and adding animated cutscenes and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious about all that they're going to add into it. But
And I've actually never played Sonic CDs, so I'll probably just pick it up just for that because Sonic CD is kind of hard to find a way to play.
yeah, it's a weird one. It's a very strange game. It's definitely love it or hate it. It's very convoluted. It has very strange, eccentric level design. Personally, I really enjoy it a lot. I think it's a really fun game, but I also get why some people may not enjoy it as much as the others.
Right. It's kind of a good timing, really, to re-release those classic games because the movie Sonic 2 really does kind of combine all of the assets you would probably imagine would be brought to live action. Not just Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the game, but also Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and just really the whole Genesis era is basically in this new movie.
Yeah, the only thing missing, speaking of CD, is Metal Sonic.
Yeah, which I feel like, you know, we'll talk about spoilers later, but I don't think they'll even really touch on Metal Sonic because I think Metal Sonic, especially for a movie, could be kind of boring.
Yeah, I would like to see Metal Sonic. I'd like to see what they do with the design. I think it could be a fun thing to do. But honestly, after this movie, I'm just kind of cool seeing with whatever they want to go with. Because Knuckles wasn't my
Yeah,
first choice to show up in the second movie. Nothing against Knuckles. I just figured that they would stick more with the games, where maybe the second one would have Tails, and then the third one would have Knuckles or something.
yeah, they're kind of speeding through it, I think, in an attempt to build a cinematic universe because there's already been announcements that there's going to be a Knuckles the Echidna show on Paramount Plus, which I have no idea what that's going to be like.
Me either, and honestly, I don't know. I mean, I don't see myself watching any of the extra material. I'm not saying it'll be bad, but I really don't think Sonic's strong enough for this whole cinematic universe concept. I mean, I like a lot of these characters. I like a lot of stuff, but if it gets a point where it's gonna be like a fishing show with Big the Cat or Rouge the
We can
Bat,
only hope, Todd. We
and
can
like
only hope.
yeah, that's setting the bar pretty high. But like
Honestly, like a Bass Pro fishing show that's like super boring, like real fishing shows with Big the Cat would be pretty on brand.
yeah, it would literally be just like your dad's fishing show that he falls asleep to, but with Big the Cat.
But it's just a giant purple CGI cat instead.
But yeah, like I just don't know that there's enough content there. Like when you think about something like Marvel or DC, they have dozens of iconic characters. Sonic, I mean, we're already at the point where the most iconic characters are already out in the open. And as much as I love Tails and Knuckles, I don't see a Tails or Knuckles movie
Right.
happening. I just don't think Sonic's that kind of a franchise. Super Smash Brothers or something? Yeah, I could see that. Maybe even Mario in general, because you could do Luigi's Castle, you could do a Wario movie, you could whatever.
Right.
I
Which
think
is something I would love to see as a huge video game fan. I've always wanted Nintendo to kind of make their own animated cinematic universe, which maybe we'll get if the Mario movie is well received later this year. I hope it is. But that would be a fun, terrible topic to discuss on this show as well.
yeah, like I just worry that they're rushing into this whole huge idea, and really I'm just enjoying it's slowly building, and I'd rather just get a series of linear Sonic movies. And honestly, like the pace they're going and the without going to spoil
Mm.
like this where they're headed for the sequel, I'm fine with. I trust them with it at this point, but I definitely worry that they're biting off more than they can chew.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely. I think Paramount does that a lot. I mean, in terms of uh, box office earnings for Paramount, I mean, the past few years, Sonic 1 and 2 are really up there. I don't know how many movies have made more for Paramount. Maybe not any. I don't actually know all the Paramount movies of the past few years, but I can imagine that's why they're really pushing out more content for Sonic, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's good, it's good. Like Jurassic World is a big blockbuster franchise, and they have at least one show on Netflix that's animated for kids. And I doubt that any Jurassic Park fan gives a shit about it. Maybe their kids do.
Right,
It doesn't affect anything. It doesn't hurt anything. So it's not really
right.
like a net loss or anything, as long as they just stay in their lane and know how to approach it. Like they could do a young Knuckles show, maybe is what I would recommend. They show a flashback to Knuckles as a kid in this, and that was cute, and he's got the other echidnas. I think that would be a cool idea, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they're going with because I think what was really kind of cool for me watching this movie is this movie kind of offered voice acted origins for Tails and Knuckles because in the Genesis games is when we know when these characters meet. There's obviously no dialogue. They just like spin dash into each other and then like the games play out, right? So this was kind of something we've never really seen before.
Yeah, no, it's true. They give, especially Tails, they give Tails a lot of pathos in it, and Knuckles has an entire character arc. and that was nice to see. That's a lot more than I expected them to do. I think that is one thing I like about these movies is that there's a lot of fan service. Like there's a lot, but it knows when to do its own thing. Like Longclaw is just out of nowhere. It's just an OC, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
That's a cool character that I like in this universe or franchise or whatever you want to call it now that we didn't have before. I really think that in this movie it is probably the best depiction of Sonic and Tails' relationship. There's a lot of moments that just really show them growing, and I love how Sonic grows to see Tails as a little brother, almost a son, and there's plenty of just cute, iconic moments between those two.
Yeah, there's so much awesome Sonic and Tails moments, and then also Sonic and Knuckles moments. So they really focus in this movie on the four Sonic characters. You have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman. Probably like 80% of this film. I mean, you still have your human cast from the last movie because it'd be kind of weird if they got rid of them completely since they're basically Sonic's parents. But they really do focus. They don't do the cardinal sin of a lot of these types of movies where they focus on the boring human characters and kind of shelve the cartoon characters to the side like they often do.
Yeah, and the first movie did that, and I think that's, I mean, after the initial trailer, that's what a lot of us feared was too much human stuff, too much typical drama, and I get it because it costs a lot of money to make a CGI good-looking render. So
Right.
like every scene that Knuckles or Tails is on screen is money. I get it, but in terms of just what we want Sonic, we want Knuckles, we want Robotnik. Now, I actually wound up liking Tom. I like him and his wife's relationship. I like her sister. It's not cutting edge material. They're not the best family characters ever, but they're serviceable. They're fun. I like the actors, and I have fun seeing them interact.
Yeah, I agree with that. And honestly, the a lot of people I think online were kind of complaining about their little side Hawaii wedding plot, but I don't know. Colton and I are probably just in the nice little intersection in the Venn diagram where I think it's hilarious to see our Sonic characters, but I also think it's kind of hilarious to just go completely bananas with the oh, they're marrying Shamar Moore from Criminal Minds and he's super hot and I don't know, they just really went there's no shame in the humor in this movie, for better or worse, and I just kind of ate it up.
Yeah, I will say the one issue I do have with this movie, and I feel like it is like just a glaring Achilles heel, is there's like a 10-minute stretch roughly without any of the CGI characters where it's just the bride and Tom's wife, and
Yeah,
it's fine. I wish that they would have chopped it up in editing a little bit more and maybe cut to Robotnik and Knuckles and they get the Master Emerald and then the water kind of parts. Then it cuts back to them on the island at the wedding, and then it cuts back to them where the big pyramid thing shows up. Like it's just
right.
it's not even the content's bad or anything. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's very much children's Nickelodeon type fare, which is totally appropriate. It's just the pacing of it just feels glaringly off when you watch it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely uneven the pacing, and it probably on a rewatch it's going to be like really obvious. But I just thought it was just weird that we were seeing a film where these two women were using like Tails gadgets to like beat up the military. Because I kind of freaked out when they like named the military as gun. I was like, oh, they better name the military gun. It'd be so, that was like kind of a deep cut Sonic Adventure 2 reference that I wasn't expecting before the bigger Sonic Adventure 2 reference that we had at the very end.
Yeah, and even on the gun helicopter, it was labeled SA2.
Oh, I didn't
I
catch
noticed.
that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's
They
it's
still have the Olive Garden jokes, so
thank
we've
God.
really kind of kept a consistency here.
That is, I do love that they brought that back, and then that's the thing I was saying earlier. Like, I love that these movies aren't afraid to have their own identity, where it's like, yes,
Right.
this is a celebration of these characters, but we got to do our own thing because this is a movie.
I think it strikes the balance almost better than I can would have imagined it myself because you don't just want like a beat for beat remake of like say the story of Sonic Adventure, which I feel like a lot of the Sonic Adventure type stuff was in this movie. There was a big focus on the Master Emerald. There was a lot of like kind of these tribal booby trap stuff, like especially when they go into the pyramid. So I feel like they kind of got, and then Knuckles' parents, and all that, like the Echidna tribe. Like I feel like not only did we like do the vibe of the Genesis trilogy, but we also kind of did Sonic Adventure without doing Sonic Adventure. Like we even had the sewer like bursting with water and that kind of stuff. So I feel like they're trying to check all their boxes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like they're just picking what works from the series and trying to find a place for it in their own kind of narrative, which I think works. Like, I think that what this movie does that's so great, and this isn't putting down the first movie at all. I rewatched the first movie, I don't know, probably 4 months ago, I'd guess. Definitely a couple months ago at least. And it held up really well. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it on the rewatch. But what this movie does that's so great that so few sequels do is it took what worked in the original, because I enjoyed the first, but it's not a perfect movie. I don't think anybody's saying it's like a masterpiece.
Right.
And
everybody was like, "Oh, this is better than what I expected," with given every information we had before.
Yeah, it was like a universe. Like, oh, it's pretty good. And what this did is it took all those elements that really stood out as good in it and did it better and did more of it. So like I said earlier, where like you get a lot of focus on Tom and the town and all that, you still get that in this movie, but much less of it, and the focus is clearly on Sonic this time around.
Right. It is. I feel like they had better writing overall too, because I feel like there was a few more grown-worthy jokes in the original, whereas for the jokes in this film, they had more confidence with them. Like they had a weird kind of dynamic with Agent Stone and Eggman in the first film, and in the second film, right from the beginning, you have Agent Stone like being super obsessed with Eggman and like making little coffee faces of him, and just they're just going harder on the jokes. I think this time around.
I agree, and of course Eggman's more ridiculous in this one too, as he loses his mind. And I thought,
Yeah,
I
the
thought it
opening
was,
sequence with all the mushroom stuff was kind of incredible for an opening sequence, honestly.
yeah, no, I really liked the Agent Stone jokes, and I like that character, which is shocking. In a movie like this, I should probably hate that character, where he's just like, he's just comedic relief in a movie where everybody's kind of funny. But I think the
Right.
actor plays him well. I like his dynamic with Eggman. I like the jokes where he's like kind of in love with him. It's very much like a Gaston. I forget the other character's name, the sidekick's name, in Beauty and the
Oh yeah,
Beast.
I know what you're talking about.
LeFou,
Exactly.
is that it?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it gives me those vibes, which I think is, I mean, it's a tried and true dynamic. It's fun.
No, it is good. Speaking of good, I think yeah, Jim Carrey. If this is like his last major Hollywood feature film performance, it was a really good one. And he's kind of back in the kids film era. Like it's very similar to like there were two Ace Ventura movies in the '90s for us kids who kind of grew up on those types of movies, and now like he's in two Sonic movies, and he's just kind of transcending generations here.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like this isn't going to be his last movie. Um, but I did notice in this, he is looking noticeably older, which, I always hate when people talk about celebrities and they say stuff like that, because like, yes, they're human, they age. But I didn't
Yeah.
notice it in the last movie. Like, in this movie, it did hit me like, oh shit, Jim Carrey's not 30.
Yeah, I think my part of that might be because like he kind of had that like weird like chiseled black hairdo, and now he doesn't have hair. It's like man now, so
Oh,
that might
that could
make it a
be.
little bit more noticeable. There's more skin surface area to look at wrinkles.
Yeah, I can't believe how well so much of this movie works. Like, it's just kind of weird and almost embarrassing. Where like it's just a thoroughly enjoyable, good movie.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Carrey might be getting old, but he's still like super physical actor. He's still doing all these crazy movements and expressions with his comedy. Um, all the voice actors are great. Ben Schwartz is better than the first time. Colleen O'Shaughnessy has always been my favorite Tails voice because I don't love a lot of the newer voice cast for Sonic. In comparison to like the Sonic Heroes era, that was kind of my favorite era of Sonic voice actors. But Tails is an exception there.
Yeah, I one scene that really stood out to me was the first scene where Knuckles and Eggman show up at Tom's house and Sonic's home alone, and it's like a horror film. And they even do the shot with Eggman like Jack Torrance in The Shining,
Yeah,
in a reference to Poltergeist actually. But showing Knuckles in this way where he's like this scary home invader was really creative, and I wouldn't have. He's like the Terminator, I guess, would be a good comparison in that scene.
yeah, he's the child-friendly Terminator.
Yeah, and then Tails hits Eggman with a car.
Yeah, there's so many moments that I did not see coming in this film, and that was one of them.
Yeah, and it was so refreshing just to go to the movies and have stuff like that, where you have like oh shit moments and all that, and it doesn't require. It's not like Game of Thrones where someone gets killed or horrifically assaulted or anything. It's just like just little storytelling twists and turns or little gags that catch you off
Yeah,
guard. And even with the internet and spoilers, even knowing the franchise more than any healthy adult should, there's still so much of that where it is kind of winking at you and doing things you want, but then going in their own
yeah, I mean,
direction too.
it's just good fun. They can just like have a lot of fun with making ultimately a kids movie, but one that I think parents taking their kids are going to have some level of fun with as well. They're going to recognize Jim Carrey. They're going to laugh at some of the jokes. I think it's a good family film.
Yeah, it is, and family is a big part of the themes of the movie too, which is once
Right.
again going back to the kids film stuff and the fact that it's not as cynical as a lot of the other ones coming out. Like that's a good theme for a kids movie, whereas some of the others it'll be like something. I'm just coming up with an example. It'll be like I don't know.
Like the new Chip and Dale movie that's coming out. It's going to be, oh, well, I guess we're not relevant anymore. And what the hell's the message of that film?
Yeah, yeah, or like slut shaming or whatever, or like something overtly like don't vote for Republican, or it's like this is a kids movie, leave the shit out of it.
One, there's often there's just like nothing. Like I'm pretty sure like that new Tom and Jerry movie, I didn't see it, but everybody had like abysmal things to say about it because it was just like much of a nothing film. Didn't really attempt to say anything. You're not aiming for the stars with these kinds of movies for younger audiences, but they can still achieve something.
Yeah, it's funny. I completely forgot about that movie. And the funny thing is, like, I love Tom and Jerry growing up. I still enjoy Tom and Jerry. So, like, I would be the target adult audience for a movie like that. And I just never saw it and forgot it even existed.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people did, and that's what's really incredible though. It's like that movie is basically the same style as this movie. That's a movie with live action actors and cartoon characters, and everyone hated it or no one's talking about it. And somehow these two Sonic movies are somehow making more money in their opening weekend than the recent Harry Potter film. Like, what universe is this?
Yeah, it's insane. I remember the first movie, there was this kind of, there's a certain breed of fan against it because it came out the same weekend as Birds of Prey, which means that if you saw one movie and not the other, that it's because you hate women or something. And it was stupid. Like
Forgot about that.
it was basically it was just what was it counter releasing where it's like Birds of Prey you're gonna go see if you're like an adult or a teenager or something, and if you're a kid or an adult, you're gonna go see Sonic. I don't think it was really intentional. It's
I
just
guess
that
we can't account for people's tastes. Apparently, it's like, oh, but if you're an adult that likes Sonic, but you have to go see Birds of Prey from the DC universe that doesn't know what it's doing. Okay,
Well, that was a big thing too. Is like, do you think maybe Birds of Prey flop because it looked like pure shit? Maybe.
I mean, it was still better than Suicide Squad because I have seen it after the fact, but I mean,
I can
yeah.
imagine. I'm only going off marketing. I'm sure it's
Oh yeah.
probably like a 2.5 out of 5 or like a 3 out of 5. I'm sure it's like fine, probably.
It was passable. There was at least a cohesive story, unlike Suicide Squad. But
Yeah, like at least it
anyway,
focuses on Margot Robbie, who's talented and can lead a movie, as opposed to like eight fucking irritating assholes.
pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much it. Speaking of Suicide Squad, bring it back to Sonic because Idris Elba was in the new Suicide Squad. He's also in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as Knuckles. What did you think about that?
Well, the first thing I have to bring up is, it's basically a meme about casting Idris Elba in famous roles. Because that's what all the internet tabloids will say. Like, Idris Elba's the new James Bond. Idris Elba's going to be Indiana Jones and all this
Right.
stuff. So when they announced Idris Elba's Knuckles, it was really funny. And obviously,
No,
Idris Elba is a great actor. But
he is, and his execution as Knuckles is honestly pretty hilarious. So I think it worked out pretty well.
I liked,
Um,
he's a different Knuckles than we've seen before. And I haven't seen anybody talk about this, but the voice is distinctly different and unique. Just like this Sonic is completely different than any other Sonic we've seen, which I think's
right.
good.
Which is also kind of funny when you relate it to Tails, and Tails is like exactly the same as he's always been.
That is funny. I was gonna make a mention of that. The only difference with Tails is that like he's a little bit more gadgety and
Yeah,
kind of
he's a little bit
crazy.
more of a nerd and he's more shy since he hasn't adventured with Sonic for like 10, 20 games. But,
But
you
even
know,
so, he's
he,
basically the same.
yeah, like his core personality is the same. He's just got a little bit of growing to do since it's a movie, which I appreciated. But Knuckles, like, I agree, he's a new version, but I also kind of think we're bringing Knuckles back to form in a way as well because in the Genesis games and in the Sonic Adventure games, Knuckles used to be cool. Like you wanted to play as Knuckles. He was kind of stupid, but he kind of had this like gruff, sexy voice in Sonic Adventure 2 as well. And that voice actor never came back and voiced him again because he had like important things to do in those games, but he was kind of a comic relief compared to the other characters. But since 2001, they've really steadily made Knuckles in the games like a complete idiot, like a complete meathead 100% of the time. And I like that in this movie, he is kind of a meathead, but like the other 50% of the time, he's kind of a badass. So they've kind of like balanced what Knuckles, I think, should be again.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. They kind of took like Sonic Boom, like Knuckles is a complete like dumb jock stereotype, basically, which I think is
Yes.
funny, and I don't mind that interpretation for what they're doing with that show. But some people took issue with, and then they also took this like warrior guardian of the Emerald, tribal kind of character from the comics or the early games, and they kind of put it together, and it reminded me almost
Right.
of like the first Thor movie, where really Knuckles is a fish out of water. So like when he's confused by text messages or he doesn't quite understand things, it's not because he's a complete buffoon. It's because he's out of his element.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of retains the coolness of his character while still being comedic. I thought it was really funny when he thought like the hologram was like a mini Sonic and he kept like punching the computer screen.
Yeah, exactly. They really got that balance down where Knuckles is cool, but he's also kind of naive. And
Yeah.
and yeah, he gets a lot of funny jokes and lines, and he also gets to be intimidating too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like kids can be like, "Oh, Knuckles is cool again," you know, instead of just thinking it was a joke. Because I kind of liked Boom Knuckles because they went all the way with it. But like from like 2004 through like 2014, like the era before Boom and after Adventure, Knuckles was just he was stupid, but he also wasn't funny. So they didn't really do much with him. So I'm glad to see him have a resurgence.
One thing I will say, just slightly off topic, I'm very fascinated by the idea of if Boom had been properly developed, the video game that is, The Rise of Lyric. Because I know that's a hated game, and of course it was, rushed, and I think the budget was cut and all this other stuff. And it
Yes.
is one of my biggest what ifs in video games is if that got the proper development cycle that they had envisioned.
Had that whole side series like been successful, and instead of getting Mania and Forces, we just got Sonic Boom forever.
No, I mean like the game itself, like even if it was just one or two, like
Oh, I just had it been good in general, and that's all we got.
yeah, because it's kind of the thing like the Crash, the original fourth game for the PlayStation 2, where it was supposed to be this very ambitious, AAA type take on it that required time and patience. But then Sega was
Right.
like, "No, we need it out for the holidays, like they do every Sonic game," and
Yeah,
it
right.
doesn't work out like every Sonic game.
Yeah, I don't know. As it stands, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, I beat the game. So as far as games I've beaten, it's one of the worst games I've ever had the displeasure of playing. And
It's
I've played like every Sonic game.
it's sad to hear, but not surprising. Speaking of
No,
bad Sonic,
no.
do you think we're gonna get that in the movies? We'll eventually get him like kissing a human woman or becoming King Arthur.
Oh man, I would be totally on board for the King Arthur part. Um, I don't know. See, like, okay, so we're in a really weird spot now. So I guess we can kind of skip ahead and talk a little bit about spoilers for the end of the film. I doubt anybody's listening if they haven't seen the film at this point. But we're now at the point where Sonic, they've adapted the Genesis and like Adventure 1 elements. So now we're at the point where Sonic became in the games more edgy versus more cartoony. And I'm really wondering what Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to be like when it's trying to adapt the more crazy elements of Sonic storytelling. Because like in Sonic Adventure 2, like a little girl dies and like that's Shadow's origin like completely. So how are they going to do it, Todd? I don't
That
know.
that is the issue with Shadow. You could do it in a children's movie in a very Disney type way.
I guess so.
They would have to be artful about it and use shadows or something like in the background where you see a little girl's shadow fall or something. And his name's Shadow, so you can get away with that. But like,
I suppose.
um, I honestly think tonally what they're gonna go for is it's gonna be like Iron Man 3, where it's gonna be marketed as like grittier and edgier, and it's gonna show like Sonic on the ground and Shadow's like "fuck you" and he's smoking a cigarette, and then you see the movie and it's like very comedic, but all those
Yeah.
scenes were kind of taken out of context to make the film seem heavier than it is.
Oh my God. That's gonna work. I bet that works too, because that's gonna make the kids want to see it even more, and then everybody's gonna be in the theater for it.
Shadow's gonna have
Oh
fucking
man.
guns.
I mean, I love Shadow the Hedgehog, but I also love my edgy Sonic stuff, like Sonic Adventure 2, and so I like Sonic 06. I don't like playing Sonic 06, but I kind of like the story more than most. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Like, there's literally a scene in Sonic Adventure 2 at the end of the game where Gerald Robotnik like is on a firing line. Like a firing squad shoots the man, and it like cuts off before it happens. But like that's what Sonic Adventure 2 is like. It's edgy as hell.
Yeah, it was during the time where the West thought that we could be anime, and so
Yeah,
it was just a different time.
it was. It was. But that's we're at the spot now, Todd, where they can like adapt it like they want to, at least to some degree.
Like
They already
personally,
mentioned that Shadow's in this pod sealed away 50 years ago. So they're already referencing like his origin pretty concretely. So I don't know, man.
personally, I would be fine if they did go in that more Sonic Adventure era and modernized it and gave it some polish and just sanded off the edges because that was my era. I grew up in the Genesis days, but I grew into the adventure era as well and played those on the GameCube obsessively for a
Right.
long time. So I
Me
would
too.
personally love that. I would love a Chaos movie more than anything. Chaos is my favorite Sonic villain, but I don't see that happening, and I don't think it would be a wise decision.
I mean, they might do the space colony arc thing, like the our little Sonic Death Star, where we go in space in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I can see it.
That'd be cool. I want what's it called? The prototype or whatever, the bio lizard.
Yeah, the Bio Lizard. That's really all the kids are gonna love that. They're gonna be so confused.
It's so funny because that thing is like the ultimate life form, and then the next ultimate life form is just a black hedgehog.
Yeah, no, we really made a leap, and that's still even with all the comics and like the Shadow the Hedgehog spinoff, it's never explained why we went from giant lizard to Shadow the Hedgehog.
How could you? They just knew it would be cool.
I mean, it's cooler if you don't explain it, isn't it?
Yeah, like, and that's the Sonic ethos. It's like, does this make sense? Who gives a shit? It's cool. Okay.
I mean, the Supersonic is basically that, right? Like in this film, they kind of twist the lore a little bit, which I appreciated. Instead of the Master Emerald controlling the Chaos Emeralds, it's like one of those Kinder eggs, and the Master Emerald just breaks open to reveal seven tiny Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, I was shocked by that, but that's cool. I'm not.
Like, I don't care enough that like I'm not mad that it's different from the games. I was just like, oh, okay.
I liked that they had a little Uncharted tribute in there where they have to solve a little puzzle in the pyramid.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of an Uncharted vibe. I don't
Like,
remember solving any temple puzzles in Sonic Adventure 1. Uh,
yeah, like they do the whole Indiana Jones going through and all the traps and all that, and then they get to where the Master Emerald is, and they have to like do a puzzle literally out of like a Tomb Raider game or something.
right. Yeah, no, it was just not afraid to be a video game movie. Like it was a movie because they gave these characters more to say. Like, they weren't talking in the Genesis games, so it's still a movie, but it's very much like an ode to video games more than any other video game adaptation I think has ever been.
Yeah, it's really it's crazy how well they're able to juggle that tone. Like for instance, I was thinking about this today, for roughly 6 hours. How there's a scene, and it's funny because it's shot like exactly like Man of Steel, pretty much, where Sonic has to run across water, and he's prepping himself, and he show like it's like Man of Steel or the Last Jedi with like the hand on the rock prepping
Yeah,
dramatically, and he
yeah,
says
I guess it is, isn't it?
like gotta go fast, and it's like a meme, but it's a meme with pathos.
Oh my God, I know. I didn't expect to get the gotta go fast, have some emotion behind it.
Yeah, like not only they could have just said it at any scene and made it funny, but like instead they decide to make it like an emotional moment.
I'm kind of just that really just encapsulates how impressed I am by this film is that it manages to make Sonic still a joke, but it's in on its own joke enough to also be kind of serious again. And that's Sonic at its best, I think, storytelling wise. Like the adventure games are so good at that too. They're bizarre and absurd and insane. But you also care about the characters and what's going to happen next. It's a good balance.
Yeah, and one thing I think that they really get well in this is that the characters they're cute. Like Sonic's cute, but he's also cool. And I think that's a
Right.
lot harder to do than people think.
I
And
think that's really hard to do. Yeah.
so like when they do like him having the little house party with the dog, it's cute, but it's also kind of cool. They make him a kid, but it's almost like Home Alone or something with Kevin McAllister. It's a totally
Right.
different take on the character where he's never really been shown as a kid before in this way. And it's a unique idea that they went with, and I think it totally paid off and makes this Sonic, you know, like probably the best Sonic character. Just looking at it from a writing angle and what they've done with him, like going back to the
Right.
original, like the scene where he's playing baseball with himself is such like a great moment with Sonic, and we get the payoff in this movie at the very end. Um, there's just so much, and he feels like a full character. He's not just like a mascot anymore.
Right. And yeah, they definitely did that with this film because he's just at home, and they definitely have the arc of he has to find his friends, but also has to, ironically, he has to grow up and not be as dependent on his new adopted parents. But the movie also ends with Sonic calling Tom dad, and I will say there was some emotions welling up inside me when that happened.
It's funny. It was a really impactful, touching little scene. And the funny thing with it is that it's so stupid, but yet
Yeah,
it
it's
just totally
absolutely
works.
stupid.
Where like
I know.
it's like yeah, you're welling up and you're like embarrassed.
Yeah, like wait, why do I think this is great and cool?
it's like it's like a cartoon blue hedgehog calls Cyclops dad, and it totally
Oh,
works.
absolutely. It's what I've wanted since 2000 and uh, whenever the old X-Men movies came out, 2002, 2000, whenever. Um, I don't know, man. I think Sonic the Hedgehog as a brand is all about, that meme where it's like the person that cringes versus the person who doesn't, who like instead of wanting to die from cringe, you killed your ability to cringe, and that's really what Sonic is as a brand, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because Sonic it's almost like Monster Energy, I think, where it started out where it's like cool and it's like, oh, you like Mario? He's slow and gay. Fuck you. And it's tough and he's snowboarding and he's using a
That is what
fucking
people would say in the 90s. Mario is slow and gay.
yeah and fat because it was the '90s and they hated fat
Oh,
people back then. And
yeah.
those people all they're horrible and they're gonna go to hell for that. But that's what they would have said. But then like it became a thing where yeah, like as society kind of matured from that edgy phase, it became like funny in an ironic way. Just like
Right.
Monster Energy now is like there's all those memes was like cracks open the Monster Energy zero carb crack and sips. Those were the days. That's like what Sonic is now, where it's like this post ironic cringe thing. But yet,
Right.
what's weird is that the Sonic brand, like the official social media and the show Sonic Boom and now this movies are capitalizing on that and have found a way to be in on the joke in a way that is oddly not hey fellow kids but is legitimately kind of like oh cool they're in on the joke too and it works.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's kind of a weird evolution of like marketing a character in a series, but it does work, and it's they just embrace it. I mean, think about how awkward it would be, I guess, at this point if they didn't embrace it. I mean, everybody has joked about Sonic at one point in their lives. If you've literally ever played any of the games or seen Sonic X or these movies or like anything, right? So I guess they're really kind of like forced to do it if they don't want to commit brand suicide. They just got to be in on it at this point.
Yeah, there's only two ways to go when you reach that point in like pop culture. You either become completely serious and like reinvent yourself, almost like. And I know Planet of the Apes wasn't quite this level, but like going from like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes and then just like the silly
Right,
memes online, and then going to Rise, where it was like, oh shit, they totally took this
right,
seriously and can do this. Or yeah, you can go the exact opposite direction and be in on the joke and celebrate it and say that's okay that you're laughing at me. I'm happy to make you laugh. And for Sonic, that's clearly the right decision.
yeah. Because this is a series for kids at the end of the day.
Yeah. And once again, I mean, it's really just like a great use of tone. And I don't know the director's name, but he deserves a lot of praise for both these movies.
His name is Jeff Fowler.
Oh, that's right. Thanks. Yeah, like the fact that he can balance that while also having emotional moments, while also having legitimately cool action sequences. Like the climax of the first movie is just the meme where you just bounce off Eggman as many times as you can, and they do that to
Right,
make it cool. In this one, they use Supersonic, which Supersonic's cool, but he's just Super Saiyan. It's kind of ridiculous and dated, but they do it and make it really exciting and cool.
yeah, yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and
They
it
always
was
do in a lot of the early Sonic games. They do the power of the heart unlocks supersonic, and they did that. with protecting his friends and family, and he did a really cool like cut the Death Egg robot head off kind of move, and it was pretty sweet. I can't lie. I was definitely geeking out in the theater about that.
There was definitely it was fun because it was like being a kid again where I'm watching it and it was like, are they gonna do Supersonic? It's like, no way. They have Tails, they have Knuckles, they have Crazy, they have the Death, not the Death Egg, but the big egg walker thing that he
Yeah,
uses at the end of Sonic 2 and in Sonic Mania. And like, I was like, there's no way we're gonna get Supersonic. And then you get Supersonic. It's like, oh shit, we got Supersonic.
I know. Now this movie gave us as much as I could imagine really fitting into one sequel. I mean, Tails, Knuckles, like more Eggman, Death Egg Robot, Sonic Adventure references, and then the Shadow the Hedgehog teaser. Like that's a lot to somehow put in one movie, and it all was really good.
We also get a dance off.
We sure do. That was probably when I was the most weirded out in the film, I will say.
It was weird for a number of reasons. I love that they do the salty spittoon, the what's it called, the slaughtered lamb classic gag where they go into a bar and it's a bunch of mean people, but they take it so
Right.
far that it just goes beyond absurdism, which I enjoyed. Like showing all the scary people and the woman knitting, and she's knitting like a mask, a weird skull mask, and they cut the fish's head off and the fish says to run. It
Yeah.
really goes like into complete farce territory,
It
which
does. It does.
I'm cool with.
It works. It works. I mean, we're looking at in that scene, it's the same scene where two cartoon animals walk in disguised into a room full of humans. So at that point, why not take it way further?
Exactly. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, like you have those options like, are we going to play this straight or are we just going to embrace the joke? And they completely embrace the joke. I when I saw the movie, I saw it with Maureen and her boyfriend. I don't know if he's comfortable having his name on social media or whatever, so I won't say it. But like,
Yeah, suck it, Dylan.
yeah. So we were watching the movie, and so they bring up that if they lose the fight, they're going to get thrown into the fire. And they win the fight, of course. And the other guy, it's really funny how they build it up. He's like a tough guy. He looks like a skinhead in a prison movie or something. He's got these
Of course.
tattoos and he's taking his shirt off and it's intimidating. And then it's a dance off. But then he loses and Maureen whispered, she's like, so are they going to throw that guy in the fire?
That's a great point. They really should have followed through on
I'm
that.
waiting for the Blu-ray. Maybe it's a deleted scene.
Yeah, it actually bumps the movie up to an R rating, so that's why they cut. But
Sonic eats a chili dog made out of that guy.
oh my god, thank you, Maureen. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Really got to give props to
It's a
her for
legitimate
thinking of Portal
question.
there. That's good. No, that's a legitimate. It is a legitimate question. I like the dance off because it balanced how bizarrely weird the whole Russian dance thing was with how damn cute Tails the Fox is because he had this gadget where he made like 20 clones of himself, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. I love Tails so much, so that really just bumped the movie quality up like by triple in that scene.
I was just happy that the movie was generous enough to give us like a view of what heaven looks like, but where like instead of Sonic, it's you dancing with all the tails.
You're not wrong. I love
Like I'm
Tails.
pretty sure like when I die, if I'm good enough, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I could only hope so. I mean, like take the weird tattooed man with the his himself tattooed on his chest out of it though.
Like I'm gonna be tempted to do things where it'll be like, you see someone drop a $20 bill, and I'll be tempted to grab it, and I'll think, no, I got to make sure I get up there with tails. So I notify the person and give them their money.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the Sonic Adventure theme song for Tails is "Fly High." It basically sounds like a Christian rock song, so I think that actually has a lot of merit to it. What you just said,
It's all a conspiracy.
it is. Now I can't stop imagining like um, Tails like praying to like our Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
But speaking of tails in that bar scene, that is my probably my favorite moment of the whole movie. Personally, is when Sonic covers Tails up with a blanket, and then Tails covers Sonic with his tails.
Oh my God,
That
yes,
is probably the
absolutely.
best Sonic Tails moment ever.
No, you're not wrong on that. You're not wrong. Isn't this kind of sad? Like, I feel like it's kind of sad that this Hollywood corporate, just blockbuster film has better understood these characters than the games have in like the past 10 years.
And like each,
Why how is that even happening?
we'll say each game's what 3 to 4 hours roughly. They're pretty quick games, even the newer ones. But still, like that's 3 to 4 hours each game roughly, as opposed to like an hour and a half.
Yeah, so you're proving my point even more, Todd. They have more time to make the characters good in the games and they haven't been
Exactly.
lately. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's like Sonic and Tails. I think something that Sonic games have a problem with, and it's also why Sonic doesn't feel like he's a real character a lot, is because basically from Sonic Adventure onward, Sonic kind of feels like, and he is apparently like 15 or whatever, according to some instruction manual. So he's like kind of like close to being an adult. So Sonic kind of doesn't really change all that much in the games. Whereas making him a kid in these movies is really just a wiser route. They really like kind of lets him grow into his character, and you can kind of imagine that Sonic and Tails are like the versions of themselves in the games that they're just not there yet, basically.
Yeah, and it also allows them, like we said, like if you're gonna go into the more edgy adult type territory of some of the later games, you can allow Sonic to age up into it with the audience.
Right. Well, and that's just that's always a recipe for success. I mean, you look at some of the biggest properties of late, like Harry Potter and Avatar: The Last Airbender, and even Stranger Things in the modern day. It's like people are suckers for like watching a cast of characters like grow up through a series. So they might be doing that with CGI cartoon characters, which I don't know if that's ever been done before, honestly.
Yeah, in the next movie, Sonic's gonna have a little like soul patch or sideburns or something,
Ew. No.
a little
God.
peach fuzz
It will still look
mustache.
better than what the original design was for him, though.
Oh, easily. It's so funny that we're now like at this point where these movies are they're basically universally loved. Like I don't know about critics or whatever, but who cares? Like real
I
people
think,
that have
like if you're to be really critical on a movie like this, it's kind of missing the point. This is not trying to be an Oscar Best Picture here.
exactly. Like, but I've never seen anybody even like on the internet that's like just hated this movie or whatever. Like I haven't really seen anything negative as opposed to when the movie was first advertised, it was hard to find a positive.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's the biggest like public perception switch of opinion like that I can even think of, honestly. It's like remarkable. Now we're two successful movies deep. It's easy to forget that we could have got a really ugly looking Sonic and the sequel would have never even been greenlit because everybody would have hated it just on the design of the character alone.
That's what's so funny too is that like and Sonic really is all about the aesthetics. I mean, the soundtracks of the game, the character designs. It's so much of the appeal. It's just
You're
the
not wrong. I,
attitude.
I tell people all the time that I play every Sonic game for the characters and the music, not for the gameplay.
Yeah, it's sadly true.
I mean, those are two important things. Don't get me wrong. It'd be nice if the gameplay was often more up to snuff. Hopefully, it will be with our games coming out this year. But Sonic's got its hooks in me for its aesthetics. You're totally right. Like the dressings of Sonic are really like why he's still around 31 years later, arguably.
Yeah, well, it's Sonic fans. They're kind of like Weezer fans that would like listen to every single album, and it's like, no, that was really good in the '90s, and there's just like 100 bad Weezer albums and 100 bad Sonic games.
Yeah, no, I mean that's an interesting look at it. But Weezer isn't a band of like cartoon animals, so I'm not a fan of Weezer. So I guess that must be why.
Yeah, not yet. I'm sure they'll get there eventually. Don't
That's what we need.
don't
That's
think
what we
they're
need. We
above
need a
anything.
we need a we need a music video. We need a music video next time because like we've done this two movies in a row where we've had famous rappers doing the ending credits song. Well, in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it should just be the voice actors in a band. The cartoon characters are playing the instruments.
Oh, that'd
That's
be
where we need to
fun.
get.
It'd be a little reference to like what was it, that one show, Sonic? Shit.
Yeah,
I never actually saw the
I know what you're
show.
talking about, Todd. There was like a weird Sonic
It
cartoon
wasn't
where
called
he had
Sonic
like
Mania. But
no, I don't know what it was called, but like he had like two siblings, right? And they all played
yeah.
music.
And the weird thing with it is
Oh
that
wait, it's called Sonic Underground, isn't it?
Underground, that's it, yeah.
I, it's just,
And
what a
they're all in a
weird time.
band.
What a weird show that is.
Yeah, I actually own it on DVD. Not the whole show, but like a good portion of it, and I just never got around to watching it. Like, it was so weird because like Sonic Sat AM was clearly a great show. Like, as far as Sonic TV shows of that era, that's as obviously as good as it could have ever gotten, and
Didn't it get
better.
canceled?
Yeah, and then you have the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and then you get Sonic Underground.
They really did not know what they were doing. They like, all right, let's try three different shows in the span of a few years.
Yeah, like even though like it's remembered very fondly, if they would have given Sat AM another season where I think they teased Metal Sonic at the end. Like holy shit, like that would easily be one of the like cartoons of its era that we would look back on. But
Yeah.
instead, it's just like this really good forgotten show.
See, I wish I could relate to the Sad I Am stuff, but I just wasn't on the Sonic train yet. I was like mid 2000s is when I jumped on the Sonic train because I was a huge Nintendo guy. So actually, I was brainwashed to dislike Sonic before I ever tried a game. I was like, I'm a Nintendo fan, so screw Sonic. And then I actually played Sonic Heroes, and then I loved it immediately. So that rivalry ended for me very quickly. And then so Sonic X was like my childhood cartoon.
That's fine. I did watch Sonic X, and I do love Sonic X, of course. I think that show's
Yeah,
really
going back and
underrated
watching
for
it
what
as
it
an
is.
adult, it's not great, but it's not terrible either.
I hate to say it, but like so much of it is the aesthetics, because like that show looks
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean it's a Sonic anime, so if that's what you want, like that's the only show that looks like that. Because like even the Sonic Saturday cartoon, like it's a little dorky looking,
Yeah,
and Sonic X is really like the modern adventure aesthetic of the characters really captured quite well. There's just also like 20 human characters that are annoying as shit in it as well.
someone needs to make like there's this radio show Opie and Anthony, and everybody loves the guests. They love the one co-host Anthony, but they hate Opie. So what fans have done is that they've made edits of the show where it just edits Opie out. So like when he's talking, it just cuts to someone else talking as though he wasn't in the room, and it makes it better.
Wow. I
So
wonder
like
if you. I don't know if you could do that with Sonic X because like it's so crucially about the humans sometimes, but I would like to attempt it.
we could try. It wouldn't
Yeah,
hurt to try.
that's gonna be the Long Shot Books dub of Sonic X, removing Chris and the other humans.
Just an
That's
edit
how
of
we'd
it.
really get this podcast off the ground and being famous. Do Sonic X fan
Oh yeah, that'll make the headlines.
edit. You joke. It probably would in some circles.
We just replace all the human stuff with the characters in Sonic fucking. Like it's called
I
Sonic
mean, that would make
X.
that would also make the headlines maybe in slightly different circles.
That's what we thought it was.
Yeah, that's how I remember as a child. Oh, anyway, I don't know what we were talking about in terms of like the film. I think we covered the
Oh,
film
you were
quite a
talking
bit.
about the how they have rap music in it, and you like the characters
Oh
to have a
yeah,
band.
yes, I did appreciate this time it was Kid Cudi instead of Wiz Khalifa and a bunch of other dorks. As Kid Cudi was one of the first rap artists that I actually listened to as a kid because I was a big Day and Night stan when I was like 9 years old or whatever. So it's kind of cool because like these movies are for kids, but they're also for us 20 somethings who grew up with Jim Carrey and Kid Cudi and now they're just like in our Sonic movie.
Yeah, I do hope that maybe the next movie gets something other than a rap song. Like I'm fine with rap and all that, but I just like more variety. Like it'd be cool to get like just a pop song, or
Yeah,
everybody wants like the Crush 40 rock song, and maybe they don't have to do it
I
over the
was
end
half
credits.
expecting Crush 40 to start playing when he turned into Supersonic because the movie had already done everything else.
Yeah, that is like the one thing these movies are missing. They don't have to make it like the
Yeah,
lead
because
single off the soundtrack, but like something.
Sonic's musical identity really is like it changes over time. Like in Sonic CD and Sonic R, it's like disco pop, and then in Sonic Adventure 1, 2, and a few games after that, it's kind of like Sonic has the punk rock song, and Tails has the pop song, and then Knuckles has the rap song. So I would agree that we probably need a little bit more diversity in the music for the next film.
We need like a Sonic reggae song or something.
I don't. Well, wait. So if he was to get like a punk rock song, then who would sing it? Like what performer would we get?
Yeah, I hate to say
If it
it's
wasn't
gonna be some
rap.
shitty A-lister if they were gonna do punk. It'd be like something like Blink 182 or Green Day or one of them. I would
Ew.
bet. I know,
Oh man, that's too much. That's too much.
but you know it's true.
Or Panic at the Disco or something. I don't know.
That'd be awful. I love how that guy was just like outed as a sexual predator and nothing happened.
See, I do not pay like hardly any attention to celebrity crap. Like I just now am finding out about Johnny Depp stuff, and I did not even know anything until today.
Oh
Apparently,
yeah, he's in a lot of movies.
well,
You didn't know about
yes,
you know who Johnny Depp was?
that is all I know. That's legitimately like I'm so clueless on like most of the celebrity stuff these days. But I don't know. It would be cool. I think it'd be cool, if they actually got some of the game musicians, even if it was just the guitarist from Crush 40 and like Jun Sonoe, just to like do a rock song with somebody. I
Yeah,
think it would,
it could be like
people would like
instrumental
that.
for an action scene.
Or that, yeah, just kind of like because that's one thing about these two movies is that like sure they've got their rap songs at the end and those are memorable, but like the music throughout the two films like is not memorable at all. I can't. Nothing comes to my mind, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
we could probably do a more iconic job with the music since it is the Sonic franchise, which is arguably the greatest video game music. You know, like is a for how many games Sonic has and how many good songs there are across 30 years. Like it's
And,
got a legacy for its music more than anything, right?
and the fact that it's usually like original music, whereas like you could say Mario has more iconic music in terms of like the mainstays, but it reuses those same themes throughout game after game.
Yeah, I mean they often do, and I would say, I'm a video game music connoisseur, and Sonic is just constantly at the top, even on the bad games. There's pretty much always amazing soundtracks. So I'm not sure who has even done the music for these two movies, but the scores could be bumped up a notch.
Yeah, I remember it mostly being like pretty typical family movie stuff, with the exception of, ironically, the first movie. I think it does the Green Hill theme on piano, if I'm not mistaken. It's one
Yeah,
classic theme
that
from
was
the
very
games,
good.
but that's from the games. You just put it in piano. Like that's not that's cool, but that's not saying like, oh, the score was brilliant because it already
No, it
existed.
wasn't like brilliant or unique. I liked it because they like the town was called Green Hills and it was like the resolution song. It was like a nice touch. It wasn't like
Yeah,
a mind blowing, you know. It was a nice touch. John Batiste is actually the pianist doing the Hill song, like the John Batiste of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert and stuff. So, fun fact for the day.
I'm not sure who that is.
He just won like 5 Grammys or something for whatever or something, or
Oh,
Oscars. I don't know, something for music.
oh, cool, good for him.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
won five
But anyway,
Oscars for the Green Hill theme.
yeah. Hopefully, it was specifically just for that.
They were just late, so they gave him five.
Yep. Yeah. The original composer of Green Hill Zone doesn't get it, but The
No,
cover
fuck that
artist does.
guy.
That's what he is. He's a cover artist in that example.
So moving forward, where would you like to see the franchise go?
That was exactly what I was going to ask you, so that's perfect timing. Um, I mean, they've got a good thing going, and they basically need to keep going. What I envision to happen is they're probably not going to stop making these films. I don't think they're going to stop at Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and they might stop numbering them though, because once you get after 3, like then you're got connotations with Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which no one really likes. Um, I don't know. I'm a huge fan of the Sonic cast, beyond just Shadow and our early Genesis characters. So in my crazy fan brain, I'm envisioning like Sonic the Hedgehog 6, and we eventually get Silver the Hedgehog and Blaze the Cat and Team Chaotix. You got Vector the Crocodile. I don't know. I just kind of want them to keep going, and I want to see how far they can keep going through all of these characters and story beats while still being pretty good. Like I'm curious. Like how far can we actually go with this thing?
Well, that is the crux of the issue is that it really is a tightrope walk, and it already has been. And I'm very impressed that they've been able to keep their composure as well as they have. But everybody likes Sonic, everybody likes Tails, everybody likes Knuckles, Robotnik. These are classic characters, tried and true. It's going to be riskier and riskier with each step forward. And even though like we both like Silver and we both like Shadow, each new character is going to be a risk. Aside from they could introduce Amy, which personally
Yeah.
I would rather have introduced before Shadow, which she wouldn't be an antagonist, so they could
My
both show up
theory
in the
is that
same
Amy
movie.
will be in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 as well. We just
That's my prediction.
she's not a big she's not a big enough character to tease, I suppose.
No, she's a girl. Nobody's going to be excited for a girl.
I mean, that's kind of how the Sonic franchise treats its female characters. Oh, and then like I guess is Rouge the Bat gonna be in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 because
That'd be cool.
it's hard to tell Shadow's story without Rouge the Bat, I guess. So they were introduced in the same game, so it's kind of hard to disassociate them.
I know it'll never happen, but it'd be cool if they introduced Cream. I always thought
Yeah,
Cream was an underrated character.
I think it could happen. Honestly, here's the thing
If they
about
keep going,
reintroducing Sonic characters, though. Like, you and I know that not everybody can agree on liking all the characters, but there's so many children seeing these films and kind of being exposed to Sonic for the first time. So if they do Cream the Rabbit or Shadow the Hedgehog really well in an introduction in their movies, I think like these characters will start to become like potentially more universally loved just because there's a crap ton of children watching these movies and getting exposed to Sonic for the first
well, think
time.
about this. They could do Cream, and then they could also introduce the Chow, and then she could be like
Oh,
the babysitter
and they're
for
gonna
them or
sell so
something.
much merchandise because of the Chow being reintroduced.
Exactly. They're gonna be like minions or something.
Hey, they're better than Minions at least aesthetically, so I would be all for it. Replace Minions with Chow in the pop
Oh,
culture
I
space.
totally agree. Yeah, like they have to introduce the Chow. If they don't do it in the third movie, I'll say it's actually a missed opportunity. I think.
Yeah, that'd be really cute. I mean, even if it's like not even explained, because that's the thing. They've opened up the lore. It's very different movie universe versus the game universe. In the games, all the humans and cartoon animals are on the same planet, and in this movie, they're like using the rings to travel across the entire universe. So there's like a whole galaxy of crap, and therefore you can easily explain like, oh yeah, these weird Chow creatures are just from a planet. And they literally don't even have to explain it more if they don't want to.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about the scene where Sonic slurps up a bubble underwater, just like the games,
Oh God,
and
yes.
the fact that when he's dancing he flashes the Sonic Adventure pose, and just thinking about like holy shit, that's in a movie. That's a real thing.
This movie does a good job of like making those moments not feel groan-inducing because there's a lot of pop
Yeah.
culture properties, even properties that I love, like Star Wars, where sometimes they introduce an Easter egg and it's just kind of insanely obvious that they would do that Easter egg. I think this movie kind of has a nice balance where it's like, oh, he did a Sonic Adventure pose, and that's not really something that is super blatant because people who haven't played that game will just think that was a pose, right? So they're not missing out on anything. But to us, it means something. And those kinds of nods are like kind of telling us that, hey, fans of the character for a long time, we see you, but we're also, not being super lazy with it because it's kind of a deeper cut, I suppose.
Exactly right. It's tasteful. There's little flourishes throughout the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the focus of a scene. Like the focus of that scene underwater is Sonic saving Knuckles, but just because he gets an air bubble, like that doesn't interrupt the flow of that scene.
Yeah, it just makes it a little more interesting.
Right. I guess another thing about this movie is that the fights were pretty awesome. Like the fight choreography with CGI full characters, like the Sonic and Knuckles fight, and then when all three of them team up at the end, like and they get their like event, and they even get their Avengers pan around shot.
Yeah.
Like everything actually just looks really good in this movie, and there's actually some decent cinematography throughout the film as well. So that again, Sonic with the aesthetics always goes above what it needs to, I guess, and the same goes with these movies in that level.
Yeah, so I feel like we're about at the point where we could start rating the movie. Unless you had something
Yeah,
more to say.
I'll let you go ahead first. Since is there anything else that you want to see in the next movie? Any bizarre, abstract, dumb thing? Oh, and I would be very remiss, by the way. Colton wants to see the Sonic Riders cast, Jetwave and Storm, in something at some point. So there you go. Can't say I don't love my husband.
Yeah, I would say for me definitely I want the Chow in the next movie. I assume they're introducing Shadow in the next movie, and they're not going to do some like Thanos type long game type thing. Uh,
Oh God, yeah, right.
like
I would not. I don't think Sonic can go that long, or they would be that confident.
yeah, I don't think like they have good they've got a good pace going. I'll just put it that way. Momentum.
My God, will Shadow the
But
Hedgehog wield a handgun, and so will Tom, and they'll shoot each other?
that'd be great. That's what we could hope for. He shoots Tom.
He shoots and kills Tom, and therefore Sonic is on a revenge quest for the whole third movie.
So like, yeah, I want the Chow. I would like Metal Sonic. I think it'd probably be too much in a third movie, but I don't know. That'd be cool to see at some point. If they save it for another one, I totally get it if they're going the Shadow route. Uh, and I really just hope that they can continue with the tone they have and maybe just mature it just a little bit with the next
Right.
one, but keep the comedy, keep it lighthearted, keep it for kids, but also ground it just a little bit more with Shadow because you can't really. It's almost impossible to approach Shadow the same way as you have even Knuckles.
Right.
Because
I
even
mean,
though
because like,
Shadow's he's goofy, but it's a postmodern like we think he's goofy, but in universe he's tragic, he's brooding, and
yeah,
the reason why is a very serious issue that you can't make a joke about in a kids movie.
yeah. No, I mean, it'll be interesting because they've kind of touched on it in really light ways. Like it's alluded to that like Sonic's owl mother and Knuckles' dad like died. They don't. They barely show anything, and they just talk about being sad, basically. Whereas if they did Shadow's story right, kind of have to talk more more overtly about the whole being sad thing.
He better say damn at least once.
Oh, I will consider it an offense if he doesn't say damn. And now the Chaos Emeralds are out there, so he could actually say, "Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?" I'd be very, I would be very unnecessarily happy about that.
Yeah, it's the forced edginess of Shadow is so funny in retrospect, especially because when I was a kid, it was like, oh, he shouldn't say that.
Oh no, I loved it. I mean, I was when Shadow the Hedgehog came out, I was what, like 10 years old. It was really just perfect timing for me.
For me, that's when I got off the Sonic train for a few years because like I never played it. I didn't have any thoughts on it. I just saw it
That's funny
advertised as
because
like,
that's when I was like really getting on it.
I just saw like him with guns and all that, and it just seemed so different. And I was just kind of like, I don't know about this. And I started really getting into stuff like Halo and Resident Evil and other games. So it was kind of just like aging out of it naturally at the same time.
Yeah. Whereas I never aged out of anything, and I was playing Mario when I was 3 years old, and I'm playing Mario now as a 25-year-old. So nothing has changed for me.
Oh, I grew
I
back
played more
into
games
it.
than that, but you know,
Yeah, I
once I
think
jump onto the series, I never let go.
Yeah, I think it's a funny thing that I've noticed a lot of people my age now that I'm approaching 30, where they'll say things like, "Oh, I don't like that kind of music. I'm an adult now." Or like, like, "Oh, you like that? You're not a child." And it's weird to me because it's like if you define adulthood based on your taste in entertainment, that's more immature than someone who just enjoys escapism.
Yeah, I would say so. Why would you deny yourself fun and enjoyment?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get like you can't go Chris Chan with it, but like it's just a
Yeah, I
funny
mean, you shouldn't
dichotomy.
like, dedicate your entire existence to it and like, taku, I suppose. But
Yeah, it's this
get like
concept.
halfway there.
It's this concept of people mistaking maturity for fashion. You know,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, I have this haircut now. I'm an adult. I have.
Well,
I wear
Sonic's back in fashion, bitches. So who's stupid now?
exactly. So I would give this movie. It's really hard to rate. It's actually a very difficult movie to come up with an accurate rating for because, like truly, it's not a masterpiece.
No.
It's not The Godfather or anything, but it is kind of the best of its kind.
Yeah. So
So it's
when I
like,
rate it, I'm gonna rate this as a family friendly children's movie. And children's movies should still be good and entertaining,
oh, for sure.
but
I think, I guess the thing for me is, it's not like Toy Story. You know what I mean? It's not
right.
there, but like for me, I guess I'd say like an A or like an 8.75. Just
Yeah.
a thoroughly enjoyable, very very fun movie that had a lot of heart, but it also had some pacing issues.
Yeah, it's definitely not perfect. And like you said, it's not like Toy Story where it transcends like what a child should be able to understand and reaches a new emotional level than you'd expect. It's got its typical messages about friends and believing in yourself and whatnot. But, despite its few like pacing flaws and maybe a couple bad jokes here and there, overall, I mean, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterbox, which is a 9 out of 10. So I'm pretty much right there with you. And I'm comparing it in my mind to other movies of its kind, and I always do that when I rate and review a film because why would you compare Sonic the Hedgehog to The Godfather 2? That doesn't
Yeah,
make a whole lot of sense.
yeah. Like I usually grade based on rewatchability, so I keep it pretty subjective. Um, where like I could give a
I
movie,
think this movie is very rewatchable to that point.
yeah, yeah, like a movie like I don't know, like The Room or something, you could give a 10 because like you watch it any day of the week. Or for me that'd be Troll too. But either way, like to me the movies like that are tens because I can watch it on the worst day of my life and it will cheer me up, and I can watch it on the best day of my life and it'll make it better. Um, this movie to me, it like if I just saw it, I think like a week and a half ago. I would easily go and see it again in theaters. I can't wait for it to get on Blu-ray so I can watch it again. Um,
Yeah, and I
so
judge to the rewatchability factor. I judge like enjoyment of a film or the quality of a film sometimes on how much would I look forward to watching this movie with somebody who hadn't seen it, and I get to show it to them for the first time. I always love doing that with films as well.
that's a big one, and that plays into the rewatchability thing too. There's some movies that are so good that I don't want to rewatch them, or if I do, it's a very special occasion. It's almost like this like sacred experience or something.
Right.
So there is kind of a critical flaw there, but usually those movies are 10, so it's like they transcend the rewatchability rating system.
Right.
But yeah, the big reason I can't give it a 10 is, yeah, just little minor flaws, little nitpicks. Um, and honestly, I just couldn't in good faith give it a perfect rating and then also
But
give
wouldn't
Toy
it be
Story 2 a
very
1.
unsonic for it to be perfect? Wouldn't it just be
Exactly.
wrong? Yeah, it'd be wrong if it was outright perfect.
And it gets away with a lot with that. Like you said, the bad jokes. Like it slipped my mind. There's a lot of bad jokes in the movie. Like there's a lot of good ones, but there's like 100 jokes in this movie, and maybe half of them hit, maybe a little bit more than half. And there's some really funny
Yeah.
jokes, like laugh out loud jokes too. It's just such a big ratio, and I can excuse that because you're making so many jokes per minute, but also it's kind of, when it's lame humor, it's kind of on brand.
Yeah. They mix that pretty well. And I think there's some lame humor like the Agent Stone stuff that really hits. And there's some that didn't. Like the when they brought the dumb Wade cop back from the first film, I hated every like second he was on screen. So I feel like that's a part where like lame humor did flop.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they would even bother to bring him back at all. I mean, I don't really
Right?
have anything specifically against the character. He's just such a minor character in a movie with so many already that I was really shocked that he got his own scene or two. And I'm really happy that he only got his own scene or two because, I mean, like Stone, for instance, he was in a fair amount of the movie, but he never took any focus away from the characters you want to see. This character
Yeah.
definitely would have been too much if they had given him any more to do.
Agent Stone is basically like the human version of what it'd be like human version of like Eggman's little robots, like Orbot and Cubot that like kind of like meme on him or like serve him at every whim in the games. I think it's easier to excuse that character because of that too, because it's kind of like a new interpretation of like a henchman role. I don't
Int-
know. There's like in the Sonic Set AM, isn't there like a chicken or a robot?
You're thinking Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah,
See, I
the
haven't seen these older ones.
so Sonic Sat AM was like a dystopian future where Dr. Robotnik had already taken over. And it's very like Star
Oh.
Wars esque. And that's where Sally Acorn
Okay.
came from and Uncle Chuck, Sonic's robot uncle. And it's very like dark and serious in tone. Um, and
I
just,
have not seen a single episode of it.
yeah, and then so because it was too dark, to my understanding, it's because it was too dark. They rebooted with Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was the exact opposite, which is complete lunacy and absurdism. And I grew up on Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I loved it. So like, I'm not knocking that show, but looking at it objectively or with more mature eyes, there's clearly one show that was a quality product and another that was just fucking, just like sucking helium.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of. It's funny that that started that like the duality of Sonic being too self-serious and too funny, like existed back in the '90s, which is still something that Sonic struggles with today, especially with the games. It's like either the games are way too self-serious or they're way too like full of memes, bad memes like Sonic Colors. Like so, they can't figure it out in the games. Hopefully, they do.
Colors
The movies did.
Colors actually made me realize what I want in Sonic, and it's just the opening. Ironically, when it's the opening cutscene of Sonic running in the grass, and the wisps catch up to him, and the piano is playing, and it's very Miyazaki, but yet
Yeah.
distinctly Western. That's what I want from
No.
Sonic. I want like the anime stuff, but it's cute, and you can also have some darkness. Whereas like Colors, everything's goofy. You got Eggman Land, and that's fun in that game. I like it. I don't love it because it's a very, very child geared game. I get it, it's a kid's
Yeah.
game. But what I personally want is a mix of that Miyazaki just beauty and then the kind of like the poppiness of the piano and all that and the wisps. But then you also get just a little bit of edge, just a little bit of shadow or chaos.
Yeah, I think that might be kind of what they're going for in the new game, because I think it kind of
Yeah.
has that vibe with the nature of the Sonic Frontiers trailer. but it's got different writers, so hopefully they can kind of like balance what you're saying right there.
I think so, and I'm hopeful for it. I've heard rumors that the game testers weren't liking the game like a year ago or whatever, which should discourage somebody, but it actually makes me happy because that means that they've spent like an extra year, 2 years on this game, whereas most Sonic fans know like they are
Yes.
rushed. So the fact that it's been so long and the fact that they're still working on the same project under the same working title, I heard rumored like in like 2019, 2020, makes me feel very positive that the game will hopefully at least be a full fleshed out experience.
No, I agree. It encourages me too because they've probably gotten feedback like that before with past games and just released the game. So,
Yeah, it
so
is
yeah, I think it's a good thing. A lot can get done in an extra year of development. So,
exactly. It's so true. And like I don't I feel like we were both on the same page with Forces where like we just found it very like mid.
yeah, I love Sonic Forces in a couple areas. Like, I think the music in Sonic Forces
Yeah.
is like S tier, and the music, like the lyrical songs for the Avatar character, tells like a way more epic story than like the actual dialogue of the characters in the game.
Oh, the
So
dialogue and
it's this
stuff is
weird
so awful.
it's this weird like disconnect where like you can tell these musicians are like really just going full embracing the cheese but also the self-seriousness part, and then like the actual script is like Tails cowering in fear from like an Eggman robot that he's like beat up for 30 years, and then like they bring the sun crashing down. It's like, I don't know who
I
wrote Sonic Forces.
I
They
love that
didn't do a good job.
I love that they brush away that like it's like one of the darkest Sonic games, if not the darkest Sonic game, but yet like clearly they wanted to change the tone to avoid that, to make it more accessible, but they rushed the game. So like yeah, all the dialogues and like just talked to you as you play the level. But like
Yeah, which is like a it's like a Star Fox thing, but it doesn't work with Sonic.
exactly, it's just distracting to be honest. Like whenever I'm playing it actually just makes me it just irritates. It's just little flies buzzing around my head. But yeah, that
Yeah, it's
Tails
like they
scene.
didn't know they heard our feedback like we wanted to see the other characters again. But they didn't know how to incorporate any of them. And then they also brought classic Sonic back for some reason. Like I'm sorry, I don't need to play as two Sonics in a game. I really don't.
No, it was just like,
It
oh,
was
this was
cute once for
popular.
generations, but let's not do it anymore. It's kind of it lacks it reeks a lack of confidence in my opinion.
It does, and I hate to say it because I love Sonic Generations, but it cheapens that game. Like,
Yeah, no, it does. It does because Generations is supposed to be this anniversary celebration, but the fact that you can also do it in Forces, which is not an anniversary game, it's just a normal next game, just doesn't make sense. It's kind of dumb.
no, yeah, the moment of Tails cowering is the worst Tails moment. Speaking of the top Tails moments from Todd,
It is.
but it's the worst.
It
It
is.
destroys his character. It completely makes him worse. And then there's also shortly around that time this subplot it's insane. Like it's something only Sonic could do. He gets captured and he gets tortured in prison. And like this isn't like exaggerating where he's in prison. You assume he's like they literally say he's being tortured, and then he just
See,
kind of
that's what
snaps out
Sonic
of it.
Forces does so wrong, though. Like Sonic Forces, like you said, it's dark, but like it's not at all because it does no showing and only telling. There is no showing in Sonic Forces like whatsoever, so nothing feels dark at all.
Exactly, and it sucks because like I got that game I think for Christmas, and like I didn't look up the reviews or anything. I just knew it was the new Sonic game, and somebody that I, appreciated got it for me, which is really nice. So I
Yeah.
played it, and like it was clearly not up to par, but I played it a lot because I genuinely enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it,
Yeah, and
and
I still enjoy elements of it too. I think I'll probably actually replay it before Frontiers because I've only played through Forces once, so I should probably just play it again. But
I played through it a few times when it came out, and then I played through it about 2 years ago, and I was going to play through the whole game and get drunk. And I was really into drinking and gaming back then, and
that's a good way to do it.
I thought it would
You don't have
be.
to beat the game in like 3 hours, so you can probably just drink and you'd make it.
Exactly. But I was playing it, and eventually just got to a point where I was just like, I would have as much fun doing nothing. And maybe it was just like a bad buzz, maybe it was the wrong mood, but like all the mediocre bullshit and the bad level design was just more frustrating than it was fun. And it totally killed me on the game. And I do want to replay it to give it a more fair chance, because I went from like being more positive on it than most people to being one of the more negative people on the game through two totally different experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'd have to play it again too to really like know what I think about it. It's just going to be this weird experiment, especially if it's the only game where you get to make your own Sonic persona, because that's definitely like the identity of the game.
It is, and it's what sucks is like the first Sona levels just suck. Like the character controls, the gun stuff, it just doesn't. It's just slippery.
Which really bums me out because those levels have the best music in the whole game. So it's like, at
It,
least the music gets me through them.
it's like the one thing people like about the game is you get to create a character, and it gives you incentives to replay the levels and get your S ranks to get the new merch or whatever. And then like they just totally botch the gameplay side of it, so it's not fun.
Yeah, I would even say it's just like, it's kind of mindless, especially when you're shooting a bunch of enemies. Because like, I don't know,
That's the whole
it's
game.
mindless when you shoot characters in Shadow the Hedgehog as well, because everything just dies in one hit, and it's just kind of shooting should not be a part of the Sonic gameplay. I'll just say it. It
They
doesn't
should have
make
learned
sense.
that lesson by now. How many
You would
times do they
think
have to
we've
learn?
we've done it more than once. Why?
The only time I think it may have worked, and I'm sure it aged awfully, is Sonic Adventure with the mechs, with Tails and then Robotnik in Adventure 2.
I would agree that that's best, the best version of them doing it. Yeah. Well,
But
at least with the mechs, you're not playing as like a super fast Sonic character. Like in Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Forces, you're playing as a character that's as fast as Sonic and you're shooting. That just doesn't make sense. Tails and
yeah,
Eggman at least have their own like gameplay identity in Adventure 2, and I think that's why it's a little bit better there.
for sure. Yeah, like the whole thing with Forces, it pisses me off is like, it's what every fan says on every forum. It's just boost to win. You can literally just hold down the circle button, or
Yeah,
if you're playing PlayStation, the circle button, and then that's basically the game.
it is. It is. And it's sad because I feel like if everything about the development of the game is true, they actually put more effort into making a new engine than they actually did developing the game. So apparently, this engine is also being used on the new Sonic game, the game of which is also getting a lot more development time. So maybe they'll finally get the fruits of their labors, like more than half a decade later.
I hope so. And you know the tragedy of it, the real irony. Even if this game's an F, I'm still gonna buy the next game that comes out after it.
Oh yeah, I mean we're Sonic fans, so what do you expect from us?
That's the horrible part, is that we're just addicts. We're just
I mean,
junkies.
I'm basically at the point in my life where I've recognized that I like the characters and music so much that I will shell out for any Sonic game, pretty much.
That's the thing, is like what you're really doing is that you're paying for it to inspire your playlist for cardio. That's how I
Yeah,
justify it. It's just a
which
$50
honestly, if you
playlist.
actually, if you like put a pay per listen on it, I mean, I'm probably paying less than a penny for every time I listen to one of these songs, so maybe it is worth it. I don't
Yeah, it's just counterintuitive marketing. They're using the Sonic
know.
games to sell the soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what they need to focus on. Yeah, like here, buy the $60 soundtrack. Bonus, it comes with a game.
It would get so much better reviews with that.
Yeah, honestly, because then it'd be reviewed as an album and not a game. You're not wrong.
Be like A plus. This is the album of the year. Oh, and it comes with a game that kind of sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, instead of IGN reviewing it, it's like music
Rolling
magazines like
Stone.
I don't even know, Rolling Stone. I don't know, whatever the hell
Yeah.
reviews music.
Well, are you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, yeah. I hope people enjoyed that last 20 minutes of nothing about the Sonic 2 film and just random thoughts.
Yeah, that was bonus content for everyone.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was DLC, but was free DLC.
Yeah, there was a post-credits scene.
There is. Now you have to animate something, Todd. When you edit the podcast, you have to animate your own drawing of Shadow the Hedgehog in a stasis tube.
He's gonna be voiced by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, well, Colton and I were talking. We think he's going to be voiced by Keanu Reeves.
A lot of people said that, and that'd be really cool.
I would absolutely, unironically love that.
Same. I'm trying to think of anybody else that I would really like in that role.
Yeah, the correct answer is Keanu Reeves, so there's no other answer.
You know who might be good, actually, and this would be so like one. This is like Idris Elba, like Mimi, but he is a good
Oh
actor.
yeah.
Adam Driver.
God, oh man, you're making me sweat already. Adam Driver is out of the Hedgehog.
I'd be about that.
I would be down for that. Absolutely. Colton's laughing in the background, so I think we every you have everyone's approval that you need.
Oh, that settles it. He's got the job.
Yeah, call him up. Tell him he's got the job. I do think it's interesting because in the Sonic 1 teaser with Tails, he was already voiced, and obviously Shadow wasn't voiced in this teaser. So that makes me think they're casting this sucker right now, and part of the casting is like, okay, how much movie did Sonic 2 make so that we can get a higher tier actor?
Yeah, I think so. It'd be funny if they used like instead of even just using a living actor, use a dead actor like Orson Welles, and they just like chop his audio up to make him say whatever they want as Shadow.
Orson Welles as Shadow the Hedgehog.
Just someone completely just disrespectful. Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, but it's on brand because Shadow is disrespectful.
Exactly. It's like this. Their voice is just the shadow of their life.
Oh my god. Well, on that note, thank you all for watching.
I'm Todd Crawford,
And I'm Eric Zabinski.
and we are way past cool.